அன்னை உன்னை அலங்கரித்து ஆலயத்தில் இருக்க வைத்து இன்னிசையை பாடும் உந்தன் பிள்ளை நானோ உன் இனிய தோட்டத்தில் சிறு முல்லை எல்லாம் உன் செயலுக்கு ஈடு இணையுமில்லை. அன்னை உன்னை அலங்கரித்து ஆலயத்தில் இருக்க வைத்து இன்னிசையை பாடும் உந்தன் பிள்ளை நானோ உன் இனிய தோட்டத்தில் சிறு முல்லை. அந்த தெய்வீக அழகை சொல்லும் பிள்ளை தமிழழகு தேரேறி வருகையிலும் திங்களெனும் அழகு. அந்த தெய்வீக அழகை சொல்லும் பிள்ளை தமிழழகு அன்னை அழகு அவள் பெண்மை அழகு உண்மை அழகு இங்கு வேறேதையா. கையும் அழகு அவள் மேயும் அழகு பாதம் அழகு அவள் வேதம் அழகு. எந்நாளும் என்னை கொஞ்சி கொண்டாடும் அன்னை உன்னை இந்நாளில் கொஞ்சும் இந்த பிள்ளை. அன்னை உன்னை அலங்கரித்து ஆலயத்தில் இருக்க வைத்து இன்னிசையை பாடும் உந்தன் பிள்ளை நானோ உன் இனிய தோட்டத்தில் சிறு முல்லை எல்லாம் உன் செயலுக்கு ஈடு இணையுமில்லை.
ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ அரபிந்தாய. ஓம் ஆனந்தமயே சைதன்யமயே சத்தியமயே பரமே. Savitri, Book 11, The Book of Everlasting Day, Canto 1, The Eternal Day, The Soul's Choice and the Supreme Consummation. Then, like an anthem from the heart's lucent cave, a voice soared up whose magic sound could turn the poignant weeping of the earth to the sobs of rapture and her cry to spirit song. O human image of the deathless word, how hast thou seen beyond the topaz walls? The gleaming sisters of the divine gate summoned the genie of their wakeful sleep, and under revelation's arches forced the carved thoughts shrouded doors to swing apart, unlocked the avenues of spiritual sight, and thought the entries of a heavenlier state. To thy rapt soul that bore the golden key, in thee the secret sight man's blindness missed has opened its view past time, my chariot course, and death, my tunnel which I drive through life, to reach my unseen distances of bliss. I am the hushed search of the jealous gods, pursuing my wisdom's vast mysterious work, seized in the thousand meeting ways of heaven.
I am the beauty of the unveiled ray, drawing through the deep roads of the infinite night, the unconquerable pilgrim soul of earth beneath the flaring torches of the stars. I am the inviolable ecstasy. They who have looked on me shall grieve no more. The eyes that live in night shall see my form. On the pale shores of foaming steely straits that flow beneath a grey tormented sky, two powers from one original ecstasy born pace near but parted in the life of man. One leans to earth, the other yearns to the skies. Heaven in its rapture dreams of perfect earth, earth in its sorrow dreams of perfect heaven.
The two longing to join, yet walk apart, idly divided by their vain conceits. They are kept from their oneness by enchanted fears, sundered mysteriously by miles of thought. They gaze across the silent gulfs of sleep, or side by side reclined upon my vasts, like bride and bridegroom magically divorced. They wake to yawn, but never can they clasp, while thinly flickering hesitates uncrossed between the lovers on their nuptial couch, the shadowy eidolon of a sword.
But when the phantom flame edge fails undone, then never more can space or time divide the lover from the loved. Space shall draw back her great translucent curtain. Time shall be the queering of the spirit's endless bliss. Attend that moment of celestial fate. Meanwhile, you too shall serve the dual law, which only now the scouts of vision glimpse, who pressing through the forest of their thoughts have found the narrow bridges of the gods, wait patient of the brittle bars of form, making division your delightful means of happy oneness, rapturously enhanced by attraction in the throbbing air between.
Yet if thou wouldst abandon the vexed world, careless of the dark moon of things below, tread down the isthmus, overleap the flood, cancel thy contract with the labouring foes, renounce the tie that joins thee to earthkind, cast off thy sympathy with mortal hearts. Arise, vindicate thy spirit's conquered right, relinquishing thy charge of transient breath under the cold gaze of the indifferent stars, leaving thy borrowed body on the sod. Ascend, O soul, into thy blissful home.
Here in the playground of the eternal child, or in domains the wise immortals tread, roam with thy comrade splendor under skies, spiritual, lit by an unsetting sun, as Godheads live who care not for the world, and share not in the toil of nature's powers. Absorbed in their self-ecstasy they dwell, cast off the ambiguous might of earth's desire. O immortal, to felicity arise.
On Savitri listening in her tranquil heart to the harmony of the ensnaring voice, a joy exceeding earth's and heaven's pour down the bliss of an unknown eternity, a rapture from some waiting infinite. A smile came rippling out in her wide eyes, its confident felicity's messenger, as if the first beam of the morning sun rippled along two vacant lotus pools.
O besetter of man's soul with life and death, and the world's pleasure and pain and day and night, tempting his heart with the far lure of heaven, testing his strength with the close touch of hell. I climb not to thy everlasting day, even as I have shunned thy eternal night. To me who turn not from thy terrestrial way, give back the other self my nature asks. Thy spaces need him not to help their joy. Earth needs his beautiful spirit made by thee, to fling delight down like a net of gold.
Earth is the chosen place of mightiest souls, Earth is the heroic spirit's battlefield, the forge where the archmason shapes his works. Thy servitudes on earth are greater, King, than all the glorious liberties of heaven.
The heavens were once to me my natural home. I too have wandered in star-swelled groves, paced sun-gold pastures and moon-silver spots, and heard the harping laughter of their streams, and lingered under branches dropping myrrh. I too have revelled in the fields of light, touched by the ethereal raiment of the winds. Thy wonder rounds of music I have trod, lived in the rhyme of bright, unlaboring thoughts. I have beat swift harmonies of rapture vast, danced in spontaneous measures of the soul, the great and easy dances of the gods.
O fragrant are the lanes thy children walk, and lovely is the memory of their feet amid the wonder flowers of paradise. A heavier tread is mine, a mightier touch. There, where the gods and demons battle in night, or wrestle on the borders of the sun, taught by the sweetness and the pain of life to bear the uneven, strenuous beat that throbs against the edge of some divinest hope, to dare the impossible with these pangs of search. In me, the spirit of immortal love stretches its arms out to embrace mankind.
Too far thy heavens for me from suffering men, imperfect is the joy not shared by all. O to spread forth, O to encircle and seize. More hearts still love in us as fill thy world. O life, the life beneath the wheeling stars, for victory in the tournament with death, for bending of the fierce and difficult bow, for flashing of the splendid sword of God. O thou who sounds the trumpet in the lists, part not the handle from the untried steel. Take not the warrior with his blow unstruck.
Are there not still a million fights to wage? O King Smith, clang on still thy toil begun. Weld us to one in thy strong smithy of life. Thy fine curved jewelled hilt called Savitri. Thy blades exultant smile name Satyavan. Fashioned to beauty, point us through the world. Break not the lyre before the song is found. Are there not still unnumbered chants to weave? O subtle souled musician of the years, play out what thou hast fluted on my stops. Arise from the strain their first wild plaint divined, and that discover which is yet unsung.
I know that I can lift man's soul to God. I know that he can bring the immortal down. Our will labors permitted by thy will, and without thee an empty roar of storm. A senseless whirlwind is the Titan's force, and without thee a snare, the strength of gods. Let not the inconscient gulf swallow man's race, that through earth's ignorance struggles towards thy light. O Thunderer, with the lightnings of the soul, give not to darkness unto death thy son. Achieve thy wisdom's hidden firm decree, and the mandate of thy secret worldwide love.
Her words failed lost in thought's immensities, which seized them at the limits of their cry, and hid their meaning in the distances that stir to more than ever speech has won. From the unthinkable end of all our thought, and the ineffable from whom all words come.
Then with a smile august as noonday heavens, the hard head of the vision wonderful. How shall earth, nature, and man's nature rise to the celestial levels, yet earth abide? Heaven and earth towards each other gaze. Across a gulf that few can cross, none touch, arriving through a vague ethereal mist, out of which all things form that move in space, the shore that all can see but never reach.
Heaven's light visits sometimes the mind of earth. Its thoughts burn in her sky like lonely stars. In her heart there move celestial seekings soft and beautiful like fluttering wings of birds. Visions of joy that she can never win traverse the fading mirror of her dreams.
Faint harmonies caught from a half-heard song, fall swooning mid the wandering voices' jar, foam from the tossing luminous seas where dwells the beautiful and far delight of gods, raptures unknown, a miracle happiness, thrill her and pass half-shaped to mind and sense.
Above her little finite steps she feels, careless of naught or pause, worlds which weave out a strange perfection beyond law and rule, a universe of self-found felicity, an inexpressible rhythm of timeless beats, the many movemented heartbeats of the One, magic of the boundless harmonies of self, order of the freedom of the infinite, the wonder plastics of the absolute. There is the all truth and there the timeless bliss. But hers are fragments of a star-lost gleam. Hers are but careless visits of the gods.
They are a light that fails, a word soon hushed, and nothing they mean can stay for long on earth. There are high glimpses, not the lasting sight. A few can climb to an unperishing sun, or live on the edges of the mystic moon and channel to earth mind the wizard ray, the heroes and the demigods of you to whom the close immortal voices speak, and to their acts the heavenly clan are near. Few are the silences in which truth is heard. Unveiling the timeless utterance in her deeps, few are the splendid moments of the seers.
Heaven's call is rare, rarer the heart that heeds. The doors of light are sealed to common mind, and earth's need nailed to earth the human mass. Only in an uplifting hour of stress, men answer to the touch of greater things, or raised by some strong hand to breathe heaven air, they slide back to the mud from which they climb, in the mud of which they are made, whose law they know. They joy in safe return to a friendly base, and though something in them weeps for glory lost and greatness murdered, they accept their fall.
To be the common man they think the best. To live as others live is their delight. For most are built on nature's early plan and owe small debt to a superior plane. The human average is their level pitch.
A thinking animal's material range. In the long ever mounting hierarchy, in the stark economy of cosmic life, each creature to its appointed task and place is bound by his nature's form, his spirit's force.
If these were easily disturbed, it would break the settled balance of created things. The perpetual order of the universe would tremble and a gap yawn in woven fate.
If men were not, and all were brilliant gods, the mediating star would then be lost, by which the spirit awake in matter wins, accepting the circuits of the middle way, by heavy toil and slow ionic steps, reaching the bright miraculous fringe of God, into the glory of the our soul.
My will, my call is there in men and things, but the inconscient lies at the world's grey back and draws to its breast of night and death and sleep. Imprisoned in its dark and dumb abyss, a little consciousness it lets escape, but jealous of the growing light holds back, close to the obscure edges of its cave, as if a fond, ignorant mother kept her child tied to her apron strings of nations.
The inconscient could not read without man's mind. The mystery of the world its sleep has made. Man is its key to unlock a conscious door, but still it holds him dangled in its grasp. It draws its giant circle round his thoughts. It shuts his heart to the supernal light.
A high and dazzling limit shines above. A black and blinding border rolls below. His mind is closed between two firmaments. He seeks through words and images the truth, and poring on surfaces and brute outsides, or dipping cautious feet in shallow seas. Even his knowledge is an ignorance.
He is barred out from his own inner depths. He cannot look on the face of the unknown. How shall he see with the omniscient's eyes? How shall he will with the omnipotent's force? O too compassionate and eager dawn, leave to the circling aeon's tardy pace, and to the working of the inconscient will, leave to its imperfect light the earthly race. All shall be done by the long act of time.
Although the race is bound by its own kind, the soul in man is greater than his fate. Above the wash and surge of time and space, disengaging from the cosmic commonality by which all life is kin in grief and joy. Delivered from the universal law, the sun-like single and transcendent spirit can blaze its way through the mind's barrier wall and burn alone in the eternal sky, inhabitant of a wide and endless calm.
O flame, withdraw into thy luminous self, or else return to thy original might. On a sheer summit, above thought and world, partner of my unnevered eternity, be one with the infinity of my power. For thou art the world, mother, and the bride.
Out of the fruitless yearning of earth's life, out of her feeble, unconvincing dream, recovering wings that cross infinity, pass back into the power from which thou camest.
To that thou canst uplift thy formless flight, thy heart can rise from its unsatisfied beats, and feel the immortal and spiritual joy of a soul that never lost felicity. Lift up the fallen heart of love which flutters, cast down desire's abyss into the gulfs.
Forever rescued out of nature's shapes, discover what the aimless cycles want. There, intertwined with all thy life has meant, here vainly sought in a terrestrial form. Break into eternity thy mortal mold, melt lightning into thy invisible flame.
Clasp ocean deep into thyself, thy wave, happy forever in the embosoming surge. Grow one with the still passion of the depths. Then shalt thou know the lover and the loved. Leaving the limits dividing him and thee, receive him into boundless Savitri. Lose thyself into infinite Satyavan. O miracle, where thou beganest, there cease.
But Savitri answered to the radiant god, in vain thou temptest with solitary bliss, two spirits saved out of a suffering world. My soul and is indissolubly linked in the one task for which our lives were born, to raise the world to God in deathless light, to bring God down to the world on earth we came, to change the earthly life to life divine.
I keep my will to save the world and man. Even the charm of thy alluring voice, O blissful Godhead, cannot seize and snare. I sacrifice not earth to happier worlds, because there dwelt the Eternal's vast idea and his dynamic will in men and things. So only could the enormous scene begin.
Whence came this profitless wilderness of stars, this mighty barren wailing of the suns? Who made the soul a futile life in time, planted a purpose and a hope in the heart, set nature to a huge and meaningless task, or planned her million-aeoned efforts waste? What force condemned to birth and death and tears these conscious creatures crawling on the globe? If earth can look up to the light of heaven and hear an answer to her lonely cry, not vain their meeting, nor heaven's touch a snare.
If thou and I are true, the world is true. Although thou hide thyself behind thy works, to be is not a senseless paradox. Since God has made earth, earth must make in her God. What hides within her breast, she must reveal.
I claim thee for the world that thou hast made. If man lives bound by his humanity, if he is tied forever to his pain, let a greater being then arise from man, the superhuman with the eternal mate, and the immortal shine through earthly forms. Elsewhere creation vain and this great world, a nothing that in time's moments seems to be.
But I have seen through the insentient mask. I have felt a secret spirit stir in things, carrying the body of the growing God. It looks through veiling forms at veilless truth. It pushes back the curtain of the gods. It climbs towards its own eternity.
But the God answered to the woman's heart, O living power of the incarnate Word, all that the Spirit has dreamed thou canst create. Thou art the force by which I made the worlds. Thou art my vision and my will and voice. But knowledge too is thine, the world plan thou knowest, and the tardy process of the pace of time.
In the impetuous drive of thy heart of flame, in thy passion to deliver man and earth, indignant at the impediments of time, and the slow evolution sluggard steps, lead not the spirit in an ignorant world to dare too soon the adventure of the light, pushing the bound and slumbering God in me. Awaken mid the ineffable silences into endless vistas of the unknown and unseen, across the last confines of the limiting mind and the superconscious perilous borderline, into the danger of the infinite.
But if thou wilt not wait for time and God, do then thy work and force thy will on fate, as I have taken from thee my load of night, and taken from thee my twilights, doubts, and dreams. So now I take my light of utter day.
These are my symbol kingdoms, but not here. Can the great choice be made that fixes fate, or uttered the sanction of the voice supreme? Arise upon a ladder of greater worlds to the infinity where no world can be.
But not in the wide air where a greater life uplifts its misery and its miracle, and not on the luminous peaks of summit mind, or in the hold where subtle matter spirit hides in its light of shimmering secrecies. Can there be heard the Eternal's firm command that joins the head of destiny to its base?
These only are the mediating links. Not theirs is the originating sight, not the fulfilling act or last support that bears perpetually the cosmic pile.
Two are the powers that hold the ends of time. Spirit foresees, matter unfolds its thought. The term executor of God's decrees, omitting no iota and no dot. Agent unquestioning, inconscient, stark, evolving inevitably a charged content. Intention of his force in time and space, in animate beings and inanimate things. Immutably, it fulfills its ordered task. It cancels not a tittle of things done, and swerving from the oracular command, it alters not the steps of the unseen.
If thou must indeed deliver man and earth on the spiritual heights, look down on life, discover the truth of God and man and world, then do thy task, knowing and seeing all, ascend, O soul, into thy timeless self, choose destiny's curve, and stamp thy will on time.
He ended, and upon the falling sound, a power went forth that shook the founded spheres, and loosed the stakes that hold the tents of foam. Absolved from vision's grip, and the fold of thought, wrapped from her sense like disappearing scenes, in the stupendous theatre of space, the heaven worlds vanished in spiritual light.
A movement was abroad, a cry, a word, beginningless in its vast discovery, momentless in its unthinkable return. Coiled in calm seas, she heard the eternal thought. rhythming itself abroad unutterably, in spaceless orbits and on timeless roads.
In an ineffable world she lived fulfilled, an energy of the divine infinite. In a measureless reality she dwelt, a rapture and a being and a force, a linked and myriad motioned plenitude, a virgin unity, a luminous spouse, housing a multitudinous embrace, to marry all in God's immense delight, bearing the eternity of every spirit, bearing the burden of universal love, a wonderful mother of unnumbered souls.
All things she knew, all things imagined or will. Her ear was open to ideal sound, shaped the convention, bound no more her sight. A thousand doors of oneness was her heart, a crypt and sanctuary of brooding light. Appeared the last recess of things beyond. Then in its rounds the enormous feared past. Silence gave back to the unknowable all it had given. Still was a listening thought. The form of things had ceased within her soul, invisible that perfect Godhead now.
Around her, some tremendous spirit lived, mysterious flame around a melting pearl, and in the phantom of abolished space, there was a voice unheard by ears that cried, "Choose, Spirit, thy supreme choice, not given again. For now, from my highest being looks at thee, the nameless, formless peace where all things rest."
In a happy vast, sublime cessation, no, an immense extinction in eternity, a point that disappears in the infinite felicity of the extinguished flame, last sinking of a wave in a boundless sea, end of the trouble of thy wandering thoughts, close of the journeying of thy pilgrim soul. Accept, O music, weariness of thy notes, O stream, wide breaking of thy channel banks. The moments fell into eternity.
But someone yearned within a bosom unknown, and silently the woman's heart replied, "Thy peace, O Lord, a boon within to keep, amid the roar and ruin of wild time, for the magnificent soul of man on earth, thy calm, O Lord, that bears thy hands of joy, limitless like ocean round a lonely isle." A second time the eternal cry arose. Wide open are the ineffable gates in front. My spirit leans down to break the knot of earth. Amorous of oneness without thought or sign, to cast down wall and fence, to strip heaven bare, see with the large eye of infinity, unweave the stars and into silence pass.
An immense and world-destroying pause. She heard a million creatures cry to her. Through the tremendous stillness of her thoughts, immeasurably the woman's nature spoke. Thy oneness, Lord, in many approaching hearts, my sweet infinity of thy numberless souls, mightily retreating like a sea in ebb. A third time swelled the great admonishing call. I spread abroad the refuge of my wings. Out of its incommunicable deeps, my power looks forth of mightiest splendor stilled into its majesty of sleep, withdrawn above the dreadful whirlings of the world. A sob of things was answer to the voice, and passionately the woman's heart replied, "Thy energy, Lord, to seize on women and men, to take all things and creatures in their grief, and gather them into a mother's arms."
solemn and distant like a seraph's lyre. A last great time the warning sound was heard. I opened the wide eye of solitude to uncover the voiceless rapture of my bliss, where in a pure and exquisite hush it lies, motionless in its slumber of ecstasy, resting from the sweet madness of the dance, out of whose beat the throb of hearts was born, breaking the silence with appeal and cry, a hymn of adoration tireless climbed, a music beat of winged uniting souls. Then all the woman yearningly replied, Thy embrace which rends the living knot of pain, Thy joy, O Lord, in which all creatures breathe, Thy magic, flowing waters of deep love, Thy sweetness give to me for earth and men. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arvindaya. Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame.
अतिमानस के ज्योतित सरसिज, अतिमानस के ज्योतित सरसिज, दिव्य जगत जीवन केवर द्विज, दिव्य जगत जीवन केवर द्विज, चिदानंद के स्वर्णिमा मानसिज, चिदानंद के स्वर्णिमा मानसिज, ज्योतिधाम सज्ञान प्रणाम, श्री अरविंद सभक्ति प्रणाम, श्री